Teenage DC fan, back with another video, and I am back with another episode review for Supergirl, and this is the second episode of the season for Supergirl, and this episode is titled Stranger Beside Me. So, the second episode of the season put several plot lines in the oven to bake, and we'll no doubt see them crisp up to a golden brown as the weeks march along. But front and center is John. I'm gonna call him Jean because that's just more fun to say. But he introduces us to more Martian lore, which is always cool to see because he's my favorite character on this show. And after rival brothers attacked each other and led to the Green Martian White Martian rift, a curse now delivers a crippling pain to brothers who fight one another. So that's interesting. And his suffering is better than a DNA test to prove that the mysterious Martian was honest about his identity, and indeed, we see his brother battling post-pain too. So, if they weren't brothers, then they wouldn't both be feeling the same pain at the same time. So, Brainy suggests treating Jean with Q waves, which exist between X and gamma rays, and conveniently are what Kelly's researching at Obsidian. And she fits Jean with a pair of VR contacts, which I mentioned in the last video, my last review. And they map his memories, uncovering missing sections, which indicate possible brain trauma. So she joins him in the VR simulation, and they discover memories missing about crucial battles during the Martian Civil War, because apparently there was a Martian Civil War. And as Kelly ups the Q treatment, he's able to break through the void and discovers that his brother, Malefic, betrayed the Green Martians and was sent to the Phantom Zone. In his vision, Malefic says, "You're still in the dark, brother." And then they both wake up free of pain. So that's interesting. But on the couple front, Brainy gives Nia her best morning ever, as she says, with breakfast burritos, while Alex almost poisons Kelly with blueberry pancakes, because apparently Kelly is allergic to blueberries. And then Alex beats herself up for not knowing little details about, what could kill the woman she's crazy about. And it's been a while since I was on the dating scene, but isn't the I carry an EpiPen conversation when you have fairly early on someone with someone you're spending vast amounts of time with? I mean, that might be something you want to mention when you first meet. Well, not when you first meet, but like when you start dating, And then also, Kara is still struggling at Catco, where awful Andrea tells Kara to write a fashion story about who wore what to her Pulitzer party. And the idiocy of this business model makes my brain hurt. And thankfully for all of us, Kara's pulled away from her computer research call by a call that the DEO has a line on Malefic's location. And snooty new reporter William, who's at an adjacent computer examining pics of Andrea, arguing with someone named Dr. Niles Jared, is suspicious when Kara rushes off on a family emergency. Well, at least that's what she tells William. So he calls in and he makes a call and then he asks them to track her. So this guy's pretty shady. And what do you know, he follows her to a sewer where Supergirl, Brainy, and Alex are battling a white Martian. Then Supergirl rescues William from death by alien and demands to know what he's doing there, and then, barks at him to leave so he'll get out of there. And William scampers away, while the newly pain-free Malefic arrives too late to save his white Martian comrade from the DEO assault. So now Malefic really wants to tear Jean's new family apart. But back at Catco, Kara is furious to learn that William wrote her fashion article and that awful Andrea's punishing, or Andrea's punishing her by assigning her half the day's copy editing jobs. Yeah. So that's a specialized role, and not just anyone in the newsroom is going to seamlessly slide into that job. But, at this point, I'm thinking a few Oxford comma mishaps are the least of Catco's worries. But Carr stomps over to yell at William for stealing her byline and then tattling, dumping her editing assignments on his desk since he's so keen to do her work for her. And when Jean and Kara catch up at her place, he frets about what other memories he may have lost, and Kara admits she may not be able to cut it at the new Catco, and then Jean tells her to hang in there, being a supportive friend. But then they're interrupted by an SOS from Alex, who's got Malefic in her apartment, and he is posing as Kelly. So Alex confirms the ruse by offering fake Kelly more blueberry pancakes and then reaches for the gun she is strapped under the kitchen table, because who doesn't have a gun strapped under your kitchen table? I mean, why don't we just strap guns under all our furniture? That's totally safe. But then Supergirl arrives, and Malefic, as Alex gloats that humans are so fragile. And Supergirl launches into a fight that takes them into the street, and then they're airborne. But it's hard to watch Supergirl punch Alex, even though we know it's a shapeshifter situation. It's still weird to watch. Thankfully, Kelly finds the real Alex unharmed in the closet, and Jean and Guardian arrive to handle the civilians. They have a lot of cool characters on this show. Like, they have Brainy, they have Dreamer, they have Guardian and Martian Manhunter. But it's always like Supergirl's fighting the bad guy, and then all of them are just getting the civilians to safety. I get that that's important, but why take one of your most powerful characters, Martian Manhunter, and put him on duty getting people to safety rather than actually fighting the bad guy? So yeah. But then eventually the fight takes Malefic to the roof, where Kelly and Alex have a run, and then he shifts into Kelly again, but Alex easily identifies the imposter, who knocks real Kelly off the roof and flies away, leaving Supergirl to catch Kelly. Back in Alex's apartment, Jean asks Kelly to turn up the intensity of the Q treatment to recover more memories, but Kelly says they'd run the risk of completely resetting his brain. Alas, Malefic's hanging out as a literal shape-shifted fly on the wall, and thanks to Kelly's warning, he now knows how to recover the powers that he lost while he was in the Phantom Zone, with a Q-brain reset. So that's interesting. And by the end of the episode, Alex and Kelly are happier than ever together, while Brainy's driving Nia crazy with his abundance of food gifts and spoken word poetry. And yeah, that was hilarious when he did the whole poetry thing. And then Kara, meanwhile, is more determined than ever to crush it on her job with her new boss and William. And she takes her editing back from William and announces that while she's sniveling saboteur, she'll keep doing her job with heart and integrity. She strides into awful Andrea's office with her editing done and 11 pitches ready for the next day's meeting, while William clocks out and heads to a soup kitchen to serve food to the homeless. So maybe he's not that bad? It's like, you think you get him figured out, and you're like, oh, this guy's shady, he's been tracking Kara. And then you see him do this, and you're like, what? It's so confusing. So maybe he's good, but maybe he's not. But we close the episode with Lena, who's the one who bagged Eve last week from her holding cell. Eve at first claims that she can't tell Lena who forced her betrayal because they will kill them both. We don't know who they is yet, but I'm hoping we find out soon. But then she tries to explain that she fell in with them when she was a 16-year-old orphan, but eventually Eve pulls a Walter White and admits that she liked doing all the bad things she did. That's right, she's mentally insane. And Lena doesn't seem to mind, though, because Andrea busted her earlier in the episode for attempted IP theft after Lena broke the code on her Obsidian VR contacts. And she wanted to enter the black space and the human mind created by the VR technology to install her own code to basically eliminate the human instinct to hurt others. Now, you'd think that that's a good thing, but then she gets done mapping Eve's brain to find her honesty and loyalty centers, so then Lena unleashes her own tech and rewires Eve into basically a human version of her AI Hope. And now they can, I guess, rebuild humanity together. So there's like different types of villains, and this is a type of villain where it's like they think they're doing what they're doing for the greater good of humanity and everything, but they're really not. So yeah, I don't really like Lena as a villain though. I don't know. Like I said, she thinks she knows what she's doing is right, but it's not. Now also, before I end off this review, we need to talk about William. I want to get into his character more, and specifically William's wife. She was mentioned earlier in the episode, and by the time Kara declared that she felt sorry for a woman who has to deal with him, I became convinced that the wife is out of the picture, and Kara and William are being set up for a hate-to-love-you situation. Yeah. But the bigger question for me is whether William already knows that Kara is Supergirl, and whether that's why he covered the story for her. Because, like I said, he was tracking her, and he tracked her down to that sewer, but then he saw Supergirl. So you'd think that he would know that Supergirl and Kara are the same person. So yeah. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this review. Overall, this was a good episode. I think it was better than last week's episode. But I'm excited for next week's episode. Post your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you in my next video so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.